sub-locations. From all these sub-locations, we had the representation of our mobilizers from each and every sub-location. And remember,
New Year 2022 from the CPK TV crew, and my name is Sefusani, coming to you live from Gem constituency, which is a constituency in Siaya County. And today we focus on the member of county assembly aspirants, and we have the aspirant from South Gem. He will tell us his name, and we are coming from the paragon of brains, and some of the brains we have from Gem include, of course, the late Grace Ogot. They include Agwings Kodek. They include Wasonga Sijeyo. They include Bukangesa Omole. They include Jakoyo Midiwo. They include George Magoha and many other paragon of brains from this great county of Siaya and the constituency of Gem, to be specific. And without much further ado, we'll go to our guest, who is the aspirant MCA with the Communist Party of Kenya in South Gem. Karibu sana.
welcome.
Warwaki.
Yes.
So you can tell our viewers what your name is and give them a brief introduction, the post that you're vying for, etc.
Okay, my name Enock Okinyi. I come from Gem. I'm a constituent of Gem, South Gem. My main ambition, as I talk to you, is to vie as an aspirant for the seat of MCA, South Gem, with the Communist Party of Kenya. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And recently we came to your launch.
Yes.
That, and you had, a couple of mobilizers who were in your home and from the different sub-locations in the area. I understand you have 28 sub-locations in South Gem, and in the meeting... 8
sub-locations.
Sorry, you have 8 sub-locations. 28 polling stations, yes. Yeah. You have 28 polling stations and 8 sub-locations, and from the meeting we had a representation about 17 of each of the members, of 2 members from each polling station. And of course, there were more who were being fielded. Tell us about that event that we had, where you had your launch, to tell people that now you're becoming MCA of South Gem.
Yeah, I had my launch back at home in South Gem, that is in Ogero, Gombe sub-location, that is South Gem. And during our launch, we met with the mobilizers who came promptly and who also responded as we expected. We have talked to them personally, and we have come to a point of conclusion that we'll work together and push the CPK agenda plus my aspiration. We push it to the goal and make it a success. So from the 8 sub-locations in South Gem, we have Gombe sub-location, Onyenyore sub-location, Kambare sub-location, Rera sub-location, Ndori sub-location, and the Kanyadet sub-location, Kauda East and Kauda West sub-locations. From all these sub-locations, we had the representation of our mobilizers from each and every sub-location. And remember, in South Gem, we have 1 sub-location, that is Ndori, which has got 5 polling centers. But the rest have 4 or 3. So we had people coming, our mobilizers coming from around the polling stations, because that is where we want them to work and have influence around the polling stations, so that when it comes to the general election, we are able to be sure of our success. So they came and we had a good time at home. We did our launch, They talked very well about my aspiration and about CPK party, and they were willing to work together. In fact, they came to a conclusion that we work together as a family, put our house in order so that we have a relevant success. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for giving us a lot of information about the launch, which I think was extremely successful. And looking at the launch, you had a lot of support, from the different mobilizers, and there were even a lot of people, who wanted to come into the launch, who were locked out. Tell us about, the amount of support and how you've been able to garner so much popularity in that area in such a short period of time.
Okay. In South Game, being also the way you have said, the paragons of brain in South Game.
Yes.
As you know, we have Jacoyo Midio.
Yes.
Back at South Game, who hails from Ndori sub-location
In Mabinju.
In Mabinju. So by the time I was I was telling people about my aspiration to be an aspirant for MCA South Game, Jacoyo was still alive. Yeah, so I knew very well that in South Game I have a challenge, and therefore I prepared for the challenge, and I took my time first to build the party.
Yes.
Because the party that was known in South Game was SDP, and then SDP we changed the name to CPK. So the name CPK was new.
Yes.
To the masses. So I had to build the party, spread the news of CPK party across South Game. And then through the party building, I met with the people, I talk with them, I tell them this is the party I want to vie with as an aspirant for MCA South Game. And in the party, we did change the name from SDP to CPK. And I actually introduced to them the ideology, the simple ideology of CPK,
yes,
that they could grasp at that time. And therefore, they were willing. In fact, they loved our ideology, and that is how I garnered the people in that backyard, not minding that we have Jacoyo Midi also in the same backyard. But these people, they agreed to come so that we can work together, so that we can change our world.
Thank you very much, Enock, and congratulations for the amount of work you're doing. And of course, to just give you the strength, motivation to continue with the work. And you've spoken about, when there was a change of name from SDP to CPK, you had to go back to your people and to teach them about the ideology of CPK. And with that, we have seen the emergence of a study circle in South Game, which is known as Akala Study Circle. And it has carried most of the people, including yourself, who you've been able to come from this study circle where people have gotten a lot of ideology, of CPK. Tell us a bit about the Akala Study Circle, how you guys run your business, your meetings, ideology, the documents, how you get the people to come. Tell us a bit about the organization you've been doing in Akala Study Circle.
Okay, first, in Akala Study Circle, we had to come together as comrades who were coming back from South Game. We had a study circle that was functioning, but it was not doing well. That was Kamolo Study Circle. Then we had also comrades who had tried to come up with a study circle around Akala, but it didn't work well. So when I came in, when I joined the party, I came in and I first met with the fellow comrades at Wasonga CJOB. Yeah, that was a study circle. So as we met in Wasonga CJOB, I started talking with them and I started telling them, we don't have a strong study circle back at South Game. And here we are very strong. Why don't we transfer also the impact of our strength back at South Game? Then it became a good news to them, and that is the way we agreed to go back and start a Akala Study Circle. So when we went back, our leader came and we met in South Game and we agreed to start a study circle at Akala. That is the way we started the Akala Study Circle, and we started at document 1, which was the chairman's speech.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. And we have moved on well. until we were at our document, which was my path, the path
The
which
path that led me to Marxism, Leninism.
to Leninism by Uncle Ho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh.
Yes. Thank you very much. That's a good journey. And just knowing that, most of the people that we are working with have been able to learn the ideology of CPK and the amount of work that has gone into that. And, as I was traversing Game constituency, and as I happened to come to South Game, I was able to notice that the roads in that area, and especially the main roads, they are very well tarmacked and are very well done. And in one of your manifesto, you say that you want to improve the roads. Tell us about the roads that you want to improve, apart from the ones that we saw. And are they, is it that all the roads in South Game are well tarmacked, or are there roads in the villages that, need work that you would work on during your tenure as the member of County Assembly for South Game?
Yeah. During my tenure, as you have said, as member of County Assembly for South Game, I would like to improve our roads. I know that the main roads that traverse across South Game were tarmacked during the last period of Jacoyo's tenure as an MP for South Game. And he did tarmac the road from that comes from Wagai towards South Game and goes through Siaya County to Ogero back to Ramula and joins Luanda. Then there is the one, also the main one, which was tarmac, that comes from Luanda, goes through Kambare and to Akala. Then also he also managed to work on the one that comes from Akala through Ndori to Mabenjo and comes to Odokrera and down to Rivayala Bridge. And also he joined the same road back to Alwar up to Onyinyore. So those roads are main roads that traverse across South Game, and they are already tarmacked. And I appreciate him for that kind of effort that he did in South Game, and I congratulate him for that good work.
Yes.
But as we are talking today, South Game majorly, the soil is loam soil, the red loam.
Yes, the one that holds a lot of water.
The one that holds a lot of water. And this red loam soil...
Or it's loam soil is the one that releases water easily. Sorry.
The one that releases water easily is the sandy.
Is the sandy one.
But the red loam always contains a lot of water. Also, like the clay.
Like clay, okay.
Yeah. So, because of the situation of our land being that red loam, there are a lot of roads that traverse across the villages that once it rains, then they are, you can't pass, you can't go through them. Even the motorbike operators, they suffer with their customers traversing the roads that goes through across the villages. You can travel through the tarmac road, but when you reach the main junction from the tarmac down to the village to where you come from, then you have to go through a lot of mud when it rains. So these roads, they should be, in fact, we should open them up, work on them, and even put maram so that they are easily passable across the year to make our life in South Game comfortable.
And in that way, MCA, is it going to be easier for the development to reach, into the villages of South Game and not just, the areas along the road? Because we know that it is imperative for there to be good roads even down in the villages so that development can reach to them, so that it's easier for the people to access, health or business opportunities.
Yeah, it will be much easier since the main roads are already tarmacked. So we can't say that in South Game, maneno ya roads imeisha. So we can't go back and tarmac them again and already tarmacked.
Yes.
What we have to work on are the main pathways that now exist across the villages or even across the sub-locations.
Yes.
So that we work on them, make them passable throughout the year.
All right.
Yeah. So that with your goods, if you come with your goods, maybe building materials, and you want to construct a home right down in the village, then you don't have to leave your materials by the tarmac road. at the junction, you can traverse through, put them in the right site for building, and all works well. Then that one will make our work much easier, rather than the way we have been doing it when it rains and you can't go down with your goods at home. You have to leave them to a nearby home or hire people by the tarmac road to transport them to your area. So that is the point I wanted to work on.
Thank you very much. And looking at South Gem, we see that there's a bit of development that was done in that area because they had a member of parliament sitting in that area. And of course, we cannot refute the amount of development done. The only problem is that there was a lot of development in the area of South Gem, but there was neglect of the other areas of Gem that did not have a member of parliament. But just going back to South Gem, now that the development from that area has happened, do you think that it is imperative for you as a member of county assembly going into South Gem to do a lot of now passing bills and laws and legislation for the people of South Gem, because there are a lot of bills and laws that have not been passed? We have not seen a single member of parliament, from that area, or even a representative of member of county assembly passing any bills or laws that regard the people of South Gem. Would that be a good concentration for you to steer into as a member of county assembly for the area?
Yeah, as a member of county assembly for the area, I would like to actually implement laws that will bring down the resources down to the people, since we have a devolved government, and through our county assembly, actually our devolution should come even down to the people. But this cannot come if we don't have appropriate laws for or bylaws for making such kind of devolution or development to come right down to the people. So I'll do that work, make relevant laws, ensure that these relevant laws can deliver according to the way the masses of South Gem feel that, or they want services to be delivered down to them. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Also, we've spoken a lot about, the former member of parliament for South Gem, who is Jakoyo Midiwo. Yeah. And of course, when we speak about him, there are a lot of things that arise. But resulting from his, him passing away, may he rest in eternal peace, we see that there has been an emergence of people who want to vie for political leadership in South Gem, coming from the Jakoyo Midiwo family and using the family name. And of course saying that because we are the people, because leadership has come from this area and it's not there anymore, then somebody should arise, from that area, and especially from the family. What do you think about, inheritance of, what do we call it, inheritance of family members in politics? Do you think this is a way to go for the Kenyan politics, for people of Gem, and especially for the people of South Gem?
Okay. For the people of South Gem, and especially the people of Gem, I would want to say this. Being that people are siblings, they possess some kind of difference in characteristics. Jakoyo Midiwo was able to deliver a lot of services in South Gem and even across Gem. And in fact, he got a name from the service deliveries. And even by the time he was vying for the fourth term in parliament, this person who has succeeded him also had a lot of problem by just defeating Jakoyo in the polls, because he had the masses with him even in his fourth term. So he went through first term, second term, third term. He was going for the fourth term, and the masses of South Gem were still very strong with him. And in fact, he vied as an independent candidate, and he still had the masses. So I want to say that for his brother Jalango to come in and want to possess that kind of political strength that Jakoyo had is just a paradox. It is something out of reality, because Jalango comes from South Gem, is a guy I know. I've also visited him when he was working at the secretary office at the Ministry of Health in the county. I'd visited him there and I've talked with him there. During that time, I was looking for some job, and then anyway, I did not succeed. Even I talked with him, and we come from the same backyard. So, from that experience, what I know, the very heart that Jakoyo had for the people, his brother Jalango does not have. Yeah.
So in short, you're saying that leadership is not something that you can inherit, from one person to another just because you come from the same family.
From the same family, you can't inherit that, that way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And moving away from that, when you talk about the issue of land, because there's a lot of land in South Game that is, laying bare, and it is very arable. And of course, we know land as a means of production for the people. How do you think the land in South Game can be harnessed to be able to gain economic gains for the people of South Game? And is this part of your manifesto? Are these in your manifesto on how you plan to use the land in the area?
Land is in my manifesto.
Yes.
For one, agriculture is in my manifesto. And as we talk about agriculture, we must talk about land. The issue of land is a problem in South Game in one part. Because for this one part, the people of South Game, you realize that this land, their titles, the title deeds for these lands, they are still in the name of the forefathers, like the grandfather, or maybe the grandfather. So that is what is contributing to a lot of land lying fallow, not cultivated, because they possess the land, but the title, they have not gone through subdivision. So the very people who are supposed to do the subdivision now, they have to start from the grandfather to the father, then it comes to them, and it has been a problem. So that is one key problem about lands, that is a problem in South Game that I will have to address as a member of County Assembly for South Game, so that we have land subdivision and successions done in a proper way to give room for agriculture, so that an individual can actually come into a land that is aware that this land now belongs to me or belongs to our family, and start to develop it, starts to work on it, on agriculture. And also on agriculture, I wanted to monitor the transition of our farmers from the local farming to commercial farming. Because you realize there is a lot of land lying fallow, but commercial farming has not taken effect in South Game.
And speaking about commercial farming, we see that in the 80s, in the early 80s, and all the way up to the 90s, there used to be a sugarcane company in South Game known as Panyako that came up and was able to employ a number of people in the area, and just even to be able to harness the farming into commercial farming. Tell us a bit about what happened with the Panyako, because we see in the early 2000s it was left to the white settlers, and thereafter it collapsed completely. And of course, bringing down the economic gains of the people, but also the commercial farming. How can such activities be brought back again, but owned by the local people in the area?
Yeah, so there was, for the black sugar factory, this that produce what we call skaringuru.
Yes.
Yeah, so that factory belonged to an Indian who was called Debu,
yes,
near Rivayala Bridge, at around next to a school called Kodo Primary School. So he managed to work with his own factory, and he employed a number of people. People were getting employment, and there was sugarcane plantations going through across South Game. And people he could transport the sugarcane to his factory, and people could have a daily earning from the work. And then he could also manage to get something from the produce. Therefore, when it came to early 2000, then the company collapsed. So he did not collapse in his water, but he was of age. The Indian was of age, and he left the operation so that he could join his children way back in Canada. Therefore, the operation, the sugarcane plantation, it deteriorated and it stopped. Jakoyo Midi one day and his cousin Uburo Odinga tried to raise that company, but they were also defeated to raise it. Up to now, as we speak, the place lies fallow. And if that operation can come back into effect, then sugarcane plantation will arise again, and also employment will come back to the area, and people will be able to get their daily earning from that facility. Therefore, as a member county assembly for South Game, I would want to work to revive that sugarcane plantation, even start a sugarcane farmers board, so that sugarcane plantation can continue in the vast land that lays fallow. So it will never lay fallow again. It will be in active use, because sugarcane takes like 18 months or maybe to 22 or 24 months to mature. So that land can contain some money through sugarcane plantation.
Yes.
Yeah, that by the end of the year, as they take it to the factory for processing, they have something back home to use economically.
Thank you. And when you even talk about that issue of, the sugarcane company, it brings about industries in the area, and industries bring about development such as, electricity being tapped to the area, or water for the company, but also for the people around. And we see that electricity and water are a big issue, especially for the people of South Game. They have roads, but then there's the water. Access to water is very difficult. Electricity. How will you, as member of County Assembly, work for the people of South Game to provide for them water and electricity?
Yeah, water is a problem in South Game in most areas. More so during rainy seasons, they can tap water, but during dry seasons, then it becomes a problem. Like for now, early January and February, it is now becomes scarce, because most local water points like streams, they dry up. So as member county assembly for South Game, I would like to bring in the project of drilling water holes, so that we can pump that water into the raised tank, and then we supply it back to the people in the village. That is one of my work, and as I address the issue of water in my manifesto, I address an issue that I see clearly, and the way it affects our people, and what should be done, so that our people will have water both in the rainy season and in the dry season.
And what about the issue of electricity as well, which go hand in hand with the water?
Electricity, there is the rural electrification. Yes, power lines pass through across South Game, but they are not yet deployed to the villages. You realize that the villages still lack electricity, but we have the power lines traversing across South Game, but it is not yet tapped into the villages. That is something that I will have to address as a member county assembly for South Game, so that our villages can use this electricity passing across, because there is no need for electricity to pass across and then back in the village we just see it there and we don't tap it. We should tap it, use it, and also the Kenya Power and Lighting
Company
can also have their revenue from the use of the electricity.
Thank you very much. And also traversing through, the ward of South Gem, we happened to go through, Akala Market, which luckily is very vibrant. There are a lot of Boda people, where even some of our posters our banners, are hanging. And also there are a lot of women who do a lot of small businesses and a lot of small businessmen in that area. How do you plan to empower such people, being that you have a vibrant market in Akala area, which is the Akala market? How do you plan to work with these people and empower them further as the member of County Assembly of South Gem?
Okay, for Akala market, and also the smaller markets across South Game, I have a plan and a good plan for them. I want us to come together into cooperatives and even have a circle. For example, Akala market is big enough and very vibrant. Sometimes you can't tell when it is the market day.
True.
Because it is active throughout the week.
Yes.
From Monday to Sunday. It is active and vibrant. But you realize that the smaller business people within Akala, they lack funds to run their businesses. They go through a lot of difficulties in running their businesses. And to have a stable businesses in Akala, I would like us to come together into a cooperative and have a circle. If we have one circle for Akala market, and all the businesses people come together into that circle, then we can organize through the county funds so that we can have funds brought down to the business people. They can access the funds through the circle, take a small loan which they can pay back with an easier interest to pay. They use it in running their business and they pay back. They use it running their businesses and they pay back. They will build the circle and also they will build their businesses. That is very good for a place like Akala. And also to address the place like Akala is security. We also must address the security issue.
Please.
So that we give good room for more investors to come into our area, do their investments, give our people employment so that our people can have something to put back at home.
Thank you. And when we started the interview, we spoke about GEM being the paragon of brains in this area. And that being the case, then we see a lot of the people who, retire from work in the city come to stay in the rural area. And for example, in South Game, we have a lot of retirees who were working, for example, in the towns and in the cities. How do you plan to harness the brains of such people into development or into developing South Game?
Yeah, that is a very good point. And also in my manifesto, you can see how that point comes in. First of all, before I tackle the very good brains that also belongs to mature men and the retirees, I want to tackle the brains of the youths. In developing the brains of the youths towards economical gain is a major factor in South Game, because most youths, they loiter. You realize that there are people who loiter having nothing to do. They don't have work to do. And this is an important issue that I have to address so that every youth have their good brain geared towards economic gain. Therefore, through sports and recreation, I can bring in the young teens,
minds, yes.
young minds, change their minds through these activities so that they start thinking towards economic gain. They become economic oriented in their minds. They start thinking of what can I do to get even 20 bob, to buy for myself such and such a thing. You see, so after developing the young minds on that kind of ground, then I will come to the mature men. developing their good minds, their good brains towards economic development. That is the way I tackled the issue of Akala. I'll bring them together, talk to them about cooperatives, talk to them about a circle, bring them in, teach them whatever they can do. They can borrow a small loan, start a business, or improve their businesses so that they continue in their economic activities. They have a continuation in their economic activities, both when they are in hardship or when they are doing well, so that they continue with their economic activities, which is also a good development in South Game. So to the retirees, now I come back to your question.
Yes.
To the retirees, those who come back home, having done their duties where they were, now they have retired, now they have come back home, and we are there with them. If we develop economically from the young people to the mature men, then these people will have people to work with. When they come with their maybe lump sum, the money that they got from retirement, and they want to implement it, maybe in agriculture, then they have people who have got good brains, geared or developed economically, whom they can give work.
They have workforce. They have human resource.
They have human resource.
So it's a source of employment. Like these are people who want to invest. These are people who have the brains and they have the workforce. So you bring these two people together for the development.
Because these people, you see, they come back with some money they have. They want to use it. If we don't have people who can handle that kind of a project in a good manner, then the money goes wasted. So for that money not to be wasted, we worked on the young brains, the mature men with the good brains. So when there is this kind of money at hand towards a project, they have workforce to implement such work, maybe in agriculture, in business, and development increases in South Game.
Thank you very much, you know, for even debunking and being able to put those two things together. And also, you know, on another issue of women and special interest groups, you've spoken about the youth, but we also have the special interest group of women and, you know, people living with disabilities. And this being a patriarchal area, how will you be able to empower the women and the persons living with disabilities in the area of South Game?
Let me start with the women. The women in South Game, you realize that they are my grandmothers, some are my mothers, some are my fellow age mates, and we experience life together across South Game. If they are in business, you know, you can't force somebody to be in business until the person have got interest in business. You can develop them. So that is why, as I was addressing the issue of Akala, I said that even the smaller markets within South Game, we can implement the very way I've talked about Akala to the smaller markets. Have these women come together in a cooperative, start maybe, if not a circle, but a good cooperative for them, but if better, then a circle, so that they can have
like table
a way,
banking?
They can practice table banking. That is also a very good in cooperative, so that they can run their businesses. But to the ones who will have their interest in agriculture, then I said earlier, as member of County Assembly for South Game, I'll monitor keenly the transition of our farmers into commercial farming. In monitoring the transition of our farmers to commercial farming, we'll be able to determine areas that we can put capital into farming, so that we develop the very people or the women that has got interest in agriculture. They can have their commercial agriculture and get a good earning from it. We'll even provide ready market for them. For example, like those who can cultivate sukuma wiki. We have even good markets in the secondary schools. They can sell and get their income.
Thank you very much. And also, just not economic empowerment, how do you think we can empower women politically, even to vie for more political seats, you know, in most of the parties? And even here, we see that women are not coming out to vie for political seats. And you see, when you ask them, it's about the cultural issues around the area, the patriarchy, or their husbands will not allow them to vie. How do you think we can motivate the women so that they come out more to take political leadership?
Okay, before I tackle that, I want to address the issue of disability, persons with
Yes,
the
please
disability.
go ahead.
The persons with the disability, there is already, they have their organization in the game, but the organization has not been strong in South Game. I have not yet followed the reason to why it is not strong, but I believe they don't have a strong leadership or a strong representation from South Game that represent them and that can organize them into a group, and so that they can get help from the organization. As the area MCA for South Game, I will actually want to build this organization in South Game to help my people who have the disabilities, so that they can also be recognized in that organization like the people, other people with the disabilities across Game. They also get the same recognition and the same treatment and the same help, so we can help them. Those that can those that are able to do some kind of work, we can be able to see the way they do it, like for example tailoring or even shoemaking. The persons with disability can work well in shoemaking, tailoring, and also those that can do the various works, even pottery.
Even in
Yeah,
administrative positions.
even in administrative positions, so that we can see how we can help them and they can make good use of these positions to earn a living. Also, when now I come back to your question,
Yes.
the women, empowering the women even politically. The women will empower them politically in this way. CPK party gives an opportunity for us to come in through our study circles, learn about leadership, learn about politics, and how to be get or how to come up and being represent your people in politics. So through our study circles, we can work on that and raise more leadership or more women in leadership, so that they can strongly come up and do the right work even in politics. And also in empowering our women, we have to organize maybe seminars for women empowerment, like for example youth seminars. Through the youth seminars, they can get empowerment through the various youth groups that they are in, because I believe our women are in groups, and in fact I've been visiting them in their groups across South Game. We can use these groups to empower our women even in politics and in leadership roles.
Thank you very much for being very coherent on those issues. And this is your mic. Maybe you can speak to the people of Southgate. Tell them, why they should elect you. Tell them about the things in your manifesto that we haven't spoken about as we come to a close.
Yeah. Okay. Our people and my people back in Southgate, I greet you Nyokwe Uru.
Okay.
In Southgate, you know me very well. I've been walking around Southgate, traversing Southgate, telling you about my aspiration that I want to aspire. I want to be an aspirant for MCA Southgate. They know the way I've come up to this, and also when I walk around, I tell you my capability, what I am able to do. I address issues, very key issues that should be addressed politically, so that we don't go back to storytelling of the other years, so that we can now develop and start addressing key political issues that will bring development down to Southgate. Talk about key political issues that will build us economically, that will give us a sustainable peace in Southgate, that will build the security issues in Southgate. As we address these issues together, then we are able to give a solution to our problems. We will not cry again as we have been doing. We will not say again the narrative of politicians are just the same. I am working to make a difference so that this narrative that politicians are just the same, because I know those that have worked before my time, they have wasted a lot of time. They have they have not put their effort into implementation so that the people see the benefit of engagement in politics. But now I bring you back to seeing and having an interest in politics, so that through engagement in politics we can democratically address our issues, develop our social life in towards economic gain. That will actually be a reward to us in South Game. We'll have our children going to school very well as others goes to school. We'll have our roads passable. We'll have our markets built. We'll have water brought down, even back to the villages. We'll have electricity traversing across the villages. And I know with all this, as we work together with the people of South Game, we shall make it a success. Therefore, I ask you that you vote me in and see the difference in politics that I have promised you. Thank you.
And they will see the difference. We say CPK Okwabi Yengni.
CPK Okwabi Yengni,
Yes.
as we say together.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Enock, for
Yes.
gracing us today. We have been happy to have you, and for the myriad of insight that you have given us. And thank you, our viewers, wherever you're watching us from, for tuning in to yet another episode of our CPK TV, the voice of the people. I've been your host, Sefusani, and from here in Gem constituency, we say, see you again, Wanere. Bye-bye.